I'm gonna ask her about how she felt about living in Albania. Albania was kind of a wild place to be living, especially in 2000. Right after the Kosovo War, like months later that we moved there, and the city that we were living in, Tirana, was still really suffering the effects. In Tirana, we lived in this big, bright yellow house with a balcony that wrapped around the whole front of it. There was nothing like it on our street. You have to imagine that all around this yellow house, there were trash heaps, broken bricks, building debris, materials that no one wanted, like rusty rods and nails. I was 6 and I didn't have much reference, so it didn't faze me that I played hide and seek in old bunkers and darted through building debris to get to my friends' houses. That all seemed normal to me. And my parents definitely made it seem like an adventure. The photos that we have at our house, they're not in albums or anything like that. They're in a big bin, like this big metal tub. You think it's just decoration, you open it up and it's just a mess of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos. And so she hates going through it, and I totally get it, but I need photos, so I've been bothering her. I want to get my mom's perspective and see how it was for her. Why won't you answer me?
Sophie, perfect. What's about you? I know what you're wanting, and I found it, and I'm not finding nothing else.
No. Okay, I won't ask you to go through the bin of pictures anymore. I love you too much for that. What I wanted to do was ask you about how you handled being in Albania right after the Kosovo War. I know in my mind that it was hard, but I wanted to hear from you how it felt.
Albania was absolutely almost my undoing, but I couldn't let you guys know that. I realized a long time ago, you don't need a lot for children. You need a secure, loving home and parents who children feel they can confide in. Children need a sense of security, and if you can't provide that as parents, then their whole world kind of rocks, right? So there had to be some kind, it's going to be all right, we're going to be fine, but you also have to acknowledge what they're going through. And I don't know if you remember that moment when I picked you up from school and I said, there's a German bakery.
I do. I remember that.
And so we all got into that four-wheel drive and we went looking for this German bakery. And in my mind, I said, okay, there would never be a German bakery. I mean, this was a place where you couldn't get anything. But I'm thinking, maybe by some miracle. It's pouring with rain, but I'm determined. And we're going through shack after shack, and then beam of light. German bakery. I said, oh my God, I don't believe it. I parked illegally. I said, God, you guys just wait here. I'm coming back with a soccer tool. Got out of the car. Suddenly, I got into this massive pothole. I was knee deep in filthy water.
No.
I said, I have two options. I can either sob and burst into tears, or I can say, if they could see me now with all my dun-dun-dun. I said, okay, get out of the pothole, continue to your final goal, soccer tool.
Yeah. What I'm getting from your story is like, expand the small joys.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to find the pockets of joy. And even though I wanted to cry with you, I totally understood with every bone in my body, but I couldn't do that. It was pretty devastating. As I'm saying this, I feel like crying. I mean, I can feel the emotions of what I was going through.
Yeah.
As a parent. And then this wonderful woman who was another UN spouse, she came to the house when we'd only been there a few weeks, and I was just depressed, and I was in my pajamas, and she came in and she said, Ellen, every day you have to get up, you have to brush your hair, you have to put on some makeup, and then you go out of your house, you walk 10 steps, and then you come back. And then the next day, you go out of your house and you walk 20 steps, and then you come back. And you know, that was the best advice, and that's what I did. You guys used to hate it. You used to always beg me to drive you to school, because on the way to school, it was only like an 8-minute walk or something, but you had to pass.
That's so funny. We used to hate it. I was thinking to myself, like, I remember being on the bike with Callan, and I have such fond memories of that. I remember the butcher, and I remember the blood, like, I remember it viscerally. But I don't remember any negative feelings at all.
In the beginning, it was really hard and used to beg to be driven to school.
It makes me think about kids and how like resilient they are, you know, like
Yeah,
that I can
yeah.
remember that so well, and I
Well,
don't
to get to
remember any of the
school,
negative
to-
feelings. This feeling kept coming back to me when I was talking to my mom. It left me thinking, like, with some of the basics covered, kids can experience tough things and come out the other side kind of okay. And living in Albania, I feel like I got a little taste of that. My brother, Callan, took me to school every morning on the back of his bike. We folded up a garden chair cushion and snapped it on the rack on the back wheel of his bike. And I remember feeling so proud of that little seat. Like it was mine and we made it. It made me so happy. We had to ride down this big bumpy hill to get there. But at the top of the hill was an open-faced butcher shop. It had 3 walls and no front. So it's kind of just like on the side of the road at the top of the hill. And I think they definitely chose that spot at the top of the hill for function, because when they slaughtered the cows, the blood ran straight down the hill like a river, which I guess is kind of like free plumbing. That's where we would ride. So I remember it so clearly, riding down through this like red, bloody river on the street. And I loved those bike rides with my brother. I remember feeling so safe with my arms wrapped around him and the side of my face planted up against his back to stop my head from bumping along with the road. I remember it as a really special experience, not at all like my mom said I felt about it. I think the fact that I remember Albania so fondly is mostly because of how my parents stayed joyful throughout. They made us feel safe and loved, and like everything we were experiencing was okay. I remember when the power went out on my brother's 11th birthday, my mom lit the candles on the cake as if it was planned, as if it was totally normal, and it was just something fun that we were doing. And I know now that it was hard for my mom and my dad, and I do remember her crying once or twice, but she found ways to help us through it by finding light in unlikely places, and I don't know, I think that helped her too.
If you could see me now, you know how blue I've been. One look is all you need to see the mood I'm in. Perhaps then you'd realize I'm still in love